Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I used to think small moments didn't matter. Tiny glances, faint smiles, those little shifts in how someone looks at you. Turns out that's where the truth hides. And the truth hit me on a Saturday afternoon, in the middle of a crowded cafe, when my girlfriend Liana smiled at another man like I wasn't even standing right there. My name is Callum, 38, a pretty average guy who works in IT and still believes loyalty is supposed to mean something. Liana is 35, warm laugh, soft features, and for the longest time, the one person who made the world feel less cold. We'd been together almost 3 years. Not perfect years, but real ones. Or at least that's what I thought. The cafe was her idea. Let's try something different, she said, looping her arm through mine as we walked in. I didn't suspect anything, not a thing. But the moment we stepped inside, her entire energy shifted. It was subtle at first. A pause, a breath, a softening in her eyes. And then she smiled. Not at me, at him. A man standing by the counter, tall, charming-looking, with a confidence you could spot a mile away. His name, I'd later learn, was Theo, a colleague she'd casually mentioned twice but never lingered on. The kind of not-important mention that now makes you wonder what else was hidden behind it. But the smile? That was no colleague's smile. It was warm, glowing, almost shy, like he was the sun she'd been waiting for, and I was just the shadow she'd learned to ignore. I stood there, frozen, watching an entire conversation pass between them without a single word spoken. It was in the way her head tilted, the way his eyebrows lifted, the familiarity in how their eyes locked. And then, like an afterthought, she glanced at me. Callum, this is Theo, she said, voice light, too light. We worked on the spring marketing project together. Theo stuck out his hand. Good to finally meet you, man. I've heard a lot. A lot? From who? And why? But I shook his hand anyway, because that's what you do when you're trying to stay composed while your stomach drops through the floor. The conversation was short, small talk, routine, the kind of surface-level chatter that pretends everything's fine. But the truth was loud. Her body angled toward him more than toward me. Her smile came easier for him than for me. Her laughter, a soft, melodic sound, sparked instantly at his jokes, while mine barely earned a curve of her lip. By the time Theo left, I felt like I'd been erased. Slowly, politely, almost gently. She watched him walk away just a little too long before turning back to me. You okay? She asked, as if she hadn't just gutted me in broad daylight. I didn't answer. Something inside me had gone quiet, a kind of stillness I'd only felt once before, when my father walked out on my mother without a backward glance. That same finality now sat in my chest, heavy and certain. And suddenly, I knew what I had to do. I walked toward the door, not fast, not angry, just done. I heard her footsteps behind me, quick and unsteady, her voice sharp with confusion. Callum? Hey, where are you going? I didn't look back, not until I reached the door and placed my hand on it. The cafe chatter buzzed behind me, warm and oblivious, but all I felt was the cold edge of realization. This wasn't just about a smile. It was about months of small shifts I'd ignored. Her checking her phone more often, the emotionally distant, I'm just tired, the sudden late nights labeled as work, the spark in her eyes fading whenever she looked at me but igniting the second she saw someone else. I pushed the door slightly, letting the outside air brush against my face. Freedom, or something like it. Callum, please, she said behind me. Her voice no longer light or casual. It was trembling, a kind of desperate softness I hadn't heard from her in years. I stopped, hands still on the door. Don't walk out. Not like this, she whispered. You don't understand. I turned slowly, expecting excuses, maybe an argument, or worst of all, a denial. But what I saw instead shook something deep inside me. Her eyes were brimming with panic, her hands slightly shaking, her breath uneven. People around us were starting to look, sensing something unfolding. What don't I understand, Liana? I asked quietly. She swallowed hard, looking at me, then at the floor, then back at me again. Her lips parted, closed, parted again, as if the truth was fighting its way out. Finally, she stepped closer, lowered her voice, and said, "There's something I've been hiding from you, from everyone." And the cafe fell silent. Even the air felt like it was holding its breath. For a moment, I thought she might confess to something simple. Feelings fading, confusion, maybe even an emotional affair, the kind you can almost predict if you're paying attention. But the look on her face wasn't the look of someone ready to admit to drifting away. It was fear. Real, trembling fear. "Callum," she whispered. "Please don't hate me for this." My stomach tightened. "Just tell me." She inhaled, but the breath shook halfway in. "Theo wasn't the reason I smiled like that. He's not someone I'm interested in." She clenched her jaw, searching for words. "He's someone who knows." "What does he know?" I asked, my voice still calm, but something sharp flickered under it. She looked around, at the tables, at the curious eyes, at the couple in the corner pretending not to listen. And then she quietly said, "Can we go outside? Please." I hesitated, but her expression wasn't the expression of someone protecting a lie. It was someone trying not to fall apart in public. So I stepped outside, letting the cool air wrap around us. She followed close behind. We stood there for a few long seconds, the cafe sounds muffled through the glass. She crossed her arms like she was cold, though it wasn't cold at all. "I didn't smile at him because of how I feel about him," she said. "I smiled because he understands what I'm dealing with, what I've been trying to hide from you." I frowned. "Liana, what have you been hiding?" She bit her lower lip, and when she spoke again, her voice dropped, almost breaking. "It's my health, Callum." My heart stilled. "Your health?" She nodded, eyes lowering. "I've been sick, more than I've let on. And I didn't want you to know. I didn't want to see the look in your eyes when you realized I'm not the woman you thought you had more time with." The world tilted a little, like someone had taken the floor out from under me. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink away. "I've been seeing doctors for months. Tests, scans, appointments I told you were work meetings or errands. Theo is part of a support group I joined. I smile at him because he knows what it's like to hide something big. He knows how to pretend he's okay until the pretending hurts more than the truth." I felt the weight of her words settle deep in my chest. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because," she said, wiping her cheek, "I didn't want to become a burden. I didn't want you to stay with me out of obligation. I thought if I could keep it small, keep it hidden, I could protect us. But it's getting harder. And today, when you walked toward the door," her voice cracked, "I panicked, because I realized you might leave before I ever gave you the truth." I didn't speak, couldn't. My emotions had twisted into something unrecognizable. Hurt, confusion, guilt, and something else I didn't have a name for yet. "What exactly is wrong?" I finally managed. She hesitated, then met my eyes. "It's not life-ending, but it's life-changing. I have an autoimmune condition that affects my energy, my moods, sometimes even my memory. There are good days, and then there are days where smiling feels like lifting a truck. I didn't want you to think I was losing interest in you. I was losing strength." The puzzle pieces slammed together in my mind. The distant eyes, the quiet exhaustion, the sudden changes in mood, the late nights she claimed were for work, the silent sadness I kept misreading as boredom. All of it, every piece. I'd seen the signs, I just interpreted them in the most painful way possible. "Why didn't you let me be there for you?" I asked softly. "Because," she whispered, "you already carry so much, and the last thing I wanted was to become another weight on your shoulders. I thought, if I could hide it long enough, maybe things between us would stay easy. But nothing about this is easy anymore." Her voice broke again, and this time, she didn't try to hide the tears. "I know how it looked in there," she said. "And I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. When I saw Theo, someone who understands what I'm fighting, someone who reminds me I'm not crazy or weak, it made me feel less alone. But not in the way you're thinking. Never in that way." The ache in her voice cut through me. I stepped closer, gently lifting her chin so she would look at me. Her eyes were glassy, fragile, so different from the confident woman I'd walked in with. "You should have told me," I said, not angry, just honest. "I know," she whispered, "but I was scared you'd leave, scared you'd see me as broken, and I didn't want to watch your love turn into pity." I exhaled, slow and long, the weight of everything settling inside me. "I wasn't leaving because I stopped loving you," I said. "I was leaving because I thought you stopped loving me." She closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I never stopped," she said. "I just didn't know how to let you see the parts of me that hurt." Silence stretched between us, heavy, fragile, real. And for the first time in months, we finally stood in the same truth.